Hi and welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about the throat of the sewing machine. If you have never heard about the throat, let's start by defining what it is. The throat is the length from the needle to the machine here. So it's also the length of the arm of the machine. So it can be called the throat size or the length of the free arm. Let's start by taking off the accessory tray here. Now we can access the free arm. The free arm goes from here to all the way into the machine. And this is what we call the throat size. So now we have that out of the way. Let's talk a bit about why we want a big or a smaller throat. So whenever you want to do, let's say you're working with a tube of fabric, maybe you're doing a hem on a pair of pants, maybe you're working with something else that you really need to get into a corner or something, you want to be able to access the free arm. The more fabric you want to have on the right side of the needle, the longer the arm you need. We're also going to come back to specific sewing projects where you will need an extra long arm in a bit. This machine here has a rather short arm. It's only 7 inches. I would say that's probably the shortest you would have. You can't really do much of quilting and embroidery and other sort of stuff, special stitches, if you have a super short arm. So 7 inches is probably the lowest you would go. Some machines will have all the way up to 17 inches. You will find that industrial models and models that are more advanced for professional use will tend to have longer arms. So the longer the arm, the longer the throat of the machine, the more expensive it will be, right? It's also called the length of the arm. So whenever people saying that, you'll be using those terms interchangeable. The arm length, the free arm length, the throat size, all the same thing, all right? We want to be able to access the free arm and have a good throat size for several reasons. We mentioned that you want to be able to hem a pair of pants and slide on a piece of fabric, but that's not the only reason we want the free arm. Another reason is when we're going to do embroidery work. When you're working with embroidery, you're going to move and twist the piece of fabric around a lot, and you want to be able to put your arm in here and just really work with the fabric. If the arm is shorter or the throat size is smaller than on this machine, you won't be able to. So that's something you need to make sure. You also need to try the machine before you get it. Sit in front of it and ask the shop, or if you're getting it from someone else, if you're buying a used machine, ask the owner or the shop if you could try the machine before you buy it. Just to make sure that you can actually access this area all right. You want to try to move the fabric around and do different types of stitches and so on before you decide which machine is the right one for you. The same goes for quilting. When you're doing quilting, you're basically sewing a lot of little pieces of fabric together in 2 layers. So let's say you have a shirt that's worn out, maybe there's a hole somewhere, you'd cut the fabric to pieces and sew them together. So as you can imagine, you're going to be moving the fabric around a lot. You can also get a special quilting machine, and you can also get a special embroidery machine. Some special quilting machines won't even have a free arm at all, or any throat size, or an infinite throat size you can say, because the machine will just be constructed differently. Instead of having the whole machinery and the motor part here to the right of the needle, it'll be on the back. And you will have free open access this way to be sewing and moving everything around. But you shouldn't go for a specialized quilting or embroidery machine unless you will only do that type of work. If you want to do any normal type of sewing, you should definitely go with a good standard model from one of the bigger brands. Go with a good home sewing model, like a Puff, like a Husqvarna, like a Singer, like a Brother. Always go with a brand that you know and you've heard about, and make sure it's sturdy and it's not wiggly. The reason I wanted to go with a good standard sewing machine is that you can do all types of projects with it. As long as you make sure that the throat size is wide enough, you have access to the free arm, and so on, then you'll be good to go. So unless you know you will only be doing quilting or you will only be doing embroidery work, get a good standard model with a long arm. The longer the better. You could also go with a computerized model if you know you're going to do a lot of embroidery, because the computerized models will have a lot more stitches to choose from. And another good feature is when you're using the computerized model, you can set it to always stop with the needle at the top position. That'll make it so much easier when you're working with embroidery or quilting, because you're going to start and stop all the time to move the fabric around. So otherwise you would have to manually turn the hand wheel to get the needle up. So there's so many nice features and so many good things to say about the computerized models. If you're not a super tech savvy person, don't think about it. Just go with a good home sewing machine with a long throat and a good FreeArm. We have a lot more info about the FreeArm and also 4 other things you want your machine to have. So 5 things in total, one of them being the FreeArm or the large throat area. If you want to check out that list, go to our website, sewingmachinetalk.com/features. We'll leave the link here and also in the description. Alright, see you guys next time. Bye.